What's up, guys? It's Dwayne, back again for the video, back here for the reaction. And today is a great, wonderful, beautiful day. Do you know why? Because it's a Sweden day and it's a Sweden Christmas. Christmas in Sweden is totally different to anything you've experienced before. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
You guys, we're now just a mere few days away from Christmas, and if you're not feeling suitably merry yet, I think I've got the thing to get you in the mood. Yes, that's...
I actually wasn't, but I am now. You see my Christmas jumper? Do you like it? Thanks. So I am feeling quite merry. On my Patreon, I watched a Christmas movie, Swedish Christmas movie. What was it? Well, I've watched a couple now. And I've watched the Christmas special, Yule special of Alt for Swaria. If you're interested, the link is in the description. So I'm feeling pretty Christmassy. Yeah. How about you guys? Let me know in the comment section below.
That's right, because now that I've spent 3 years living here in Sweden, I'm getting lots of questions from you guys about how Christmas in Sweden compares to where I'm from back in the UK. So today I thought it'd be fun to make a comparison video where I point out 5 of the differences between how we celebrate Christmas in those two countries. And before we get started, to be quite honest with you guys, you wouldn't have expected there to be much difference at all. I mean, Sweden and the UK are quite close neighbours. We're both
pretty
North
close
European states. You would have thought for that reason that our Christmas traditions are fairly similar. But let me tell you what, there are a lot of differences to talk about. And what really got me thinking about these differences was last Christmas, when because of the pandemic, I ended up spending my first Christmas based entirely here in Sweden. And I see that as a huge opportunity because I got to celebrate my girlfriend and her family. So
last Christmas, pandemic, 2019, 2020 maybe this was in? 2019. It would be 2020 or 2021 maybe this video was filmed.
First time I really got to adopt and welcome that Swedish Christmas tradition, and it was fun even if unplanned, and as I say, it really helped me get to grips with some of the differences and really appreciate how we do Christmas different in these two countries. And with that in mind, today I'll be presenting you guys with 5 of the biggest differences I noticed between how we celebrate Christmas in the UK versus what they do here in Sweden. But I would love to hear from you guys at the end about whether you agree or not. If you're also not from Sweden, what are some of the differences that you noticed when you first got here? You can let me know all of that good stuff down in the comment section below. But let's get started and talk about some of the differences that I spotted.
Let's see.
And the only place I could really start this list today is with a blindingly obvious difference to us Brits when we first arrive here in Sweden, and that's that we celebrate Christmas Day on different days. Yes, that's right. You guys know
I've heard this part. You celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. Huh? Christmas Eve? It's not that bad actually, celebrating Christmas Eve. Like, I get it. Like, it's the first day of Christmas, so why wouldn't you?
We talked about this before, but here in Sweden, they celebrate their high times or their högtider on the aftons as opposed to the dags. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, let me try and break it down. So here in Sweden, they call the 24th of December julafton, which is kind of Christmas afternoon. And then on the 25th, they call it juldag or Christmas Day, a bit like we do in the UK. The difference being, all of the celebrations here take place on julafton or Christmas Eve. And to be honest with you, Sweden isn't alone in its preference to celebrate on the 24th. In fact, that's super popular in the traditional Catholic parts of Europe. For example, in Spain, they still celebrate on Christmas Eve. I don't entirely know the rationale behind this, so if you guys do know, fill me in the comment section down below. But as I say, it makes for a real difference when you first arrive as a Brit, because you're getting ready to celebrate on the 25th. Your advent calendar, for example, goes up to the 25th, all of the presents and the meal happens that day, but here in Sweden, you're celebrating a day early. And for those of you out there like me who are in a relationship with a Swede, do you not just see this as a huge opportunity? I mean, we get to celebrate twice every single year. Once.
That's actually pretty cool. Like, if you are dating someone who's from Sweden, then you get to celebrate on the 24th and the 25th. 2 Christmases. Perfect.
On Swedish Christmas and once on English Christmas. We get the best of both worlds. And talking of which day we celebrate Christmas on leads me on to the second big difference that I noticed between the UK and Sweden and how we celebrate Christmas, and that's in how much time off work you get. Yes, that's right, because here in Sweden during Christmas week, you'll be off for 3 days. Yes, there are 3 red days here in Sweden, or bank holidays during that Christmas week, the 24th, the 25th and the 26th. And then
in the UK, I thought we had the 24th, 25th and the 6th. Maybe it's not. I know we definitely have Christmas Day and Boxing Day, so the 25th and the 26th. But I also thought 24th was a bank holiday, but it might not be actually.
And then the following week, in the run-up to New Year's, you get both the 31st, so New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day off as well.
Oh, wow.
Which to me as a Brit felt like I was lucking out and I won the lottery when I
Yeah.
first moved here to Sweden.
I think it's just the 25th for us, and the 26th, and then we get the 1st of January off. We don't actually get New Year's Eve off. We get New Year's Day, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day, and that's it. So you guys, you're in the money. You do very well.
Because in the UK, we just get the 25th, the 26th,
Sick.
and the 1st of January.
Yeah.
So suddenly
Yeah.
I was getting 2 more days out of nowhere, and I couldn't think of anything better. And before you guys begin ridiculing the UK for only giving workers 3 days off during Christmas, I know how stingy,
So
right?
bad.
I have to stick up my hand here and say, you know what? It might be less days, but we do have one very important difference in our pockets in the UK, and that's that if those days fall at the weekend. They get replaced the following week. Yes, that's right. If you look at this year, for example, Christmas Day, the 25th, when we celebrate, is a Saturday, and then Boxing Day or Annandag Jul is on the Sunday. And so here in Sweden, you miss out on those holidays because they take place at the weekend. So when you go back to work on the Monday, it's just a normal day. But that's not the case in the UK.
No, it's
Since
not.
you miss those 2 days at the weekend, they replace them the week after. So in the UK this year,
Monday,
they will be
Tuesday.
getting both Monday and Tuesday off work for free as a replacement for those bank holidays they missed at the weekend. And you guys know...
That's pretty good. Yeah, you must admit. I mean, I would have thought Sweden would have something similar with replacing the bank, because you're very generous with your holidays. So yeah, that's surprising. Very surprising.
By now that I'm all for giving Sweden credit where its practices are more progressive and advanced than they are in the UK. I will totally point that out, call it out and give it kudos. But on this occasion, I feel like Sweden could be learning something from the UK because we never miss out on one of our red days. All throughout the year, they get replaced if they fall at the weekend. And I think that's something that Sweden needs to take note of. The third big difference in how we celebrate Christmas between Sweden and the UK is when it comes to the Christmas food. And I guess this one's a little bit predictable because it's not so weird that in different countries we have different traditional foods that we eat on our Christmas Day celebration. But with that said, I'm willing to go out there and say that I think the food in the UK is a little bit more coherent. And just to be clear here, that doesn't mean that I'm saying that the English food is better or worse than the Swedish food. I'm just saying that in the UK, we pick a theme for our Christmas food and we stick to it. So if you look at our Christmas Day celebratory meal, it's kind of like an exaggerated Sunday roast. So it's all of the usual foods that you would have on a Sunday traditionally in the UK, with a brown gravy sauce on top, and then all of the Christmas extras. So we're talking pigs in blankets, we're talking kind of Christmas vegetables,
puddings,
stuffing, the works. And then you look at what they have in Sweden. Yes,
isn't yours is like the same as you would have on a kind of a normal Swedish day. So I watched the Christmas Yule special on my Patreon page. Again, link is in the description. And in that episode, they had Christmas dinner, and the Christmas dinner looked like what you'd normally have, like pickled herring and fish and small items. Like, it was very picky. It wasn't very, like you said, coherent. It was like a mixture of things that you guys put together on Christmas Day. So it did seem a bit different.
Yes, you guys, because if this is your first Swedish Yule board this year, you're going to be overwhelmed with how many different types of food there are on that table. It's basically like a huge buffet, but unlike in the UK, there is no red thread that runs throughout all of the dishes. They basically throw the kitchen sink at you, and they give you absolutely everything they can find in their house. And when I've asked
Do you know, obviously I'm British and I grew up in Britain, so my Christmas dinner with my family on the table, all the British traditional things are on there: roast potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, turkey, gravy, all that type of stuff, stuffing. However, because my grandparents are from the Caribbean, we also have some Caribbean dishes on the same table. So my table growing up looked probably quite similar to a Swedish table, with lots of variety: pasta, fried chicken, this chicken, curries, all sorts of different things were on the table, as well as fish as well, fried fish, salt fish, all sorts of fish. So quite similar, like a bit chaotic. Whereas, yeah, a traditional British Christmas dinner is quite organized and quite like everything works together, and it's the same every year. So yeah, I guess Christmas dinner growing up was a bit more like a Swedish one, I think, in the sense of lots of variety.
Swedes, where this comes from, they've quite often said to me that actually the tradition comes from the fact that obviously a number of years ago Sweden was quite a poor country, and as a result they would kind of save up all of their luxury foods, and on Christmas they would kind of throw it all at you because they really want to kind of celebrate and mark the high time. So that's how we ended up with kind of salmon, for example, right next to sill, right next to like this potato gratin with also fish inside it, and then you've got like salads and meatballs and sausages, and it's just kind of like this buffet of every single food you can dream of. So with that in mind, you can probably imagine why I was more than a little bit confused when I had my first julbord here in Sweden, because there is no rhyme or reason to why there are so many different types of food all wedged together on this table. There is no pattern, there is no kind of through story here. Not supposed to start at one end and finish it.
There's no pattern, there's no through story. That's a very British thing to say. So there's no pattern. So don't go together. How can you put fish with potato and cheese and stuff? Because the Christmas dinner, it really does. You have a bit of turkey, you have some roast potatoes, the gravy goes on top, the stuffing goes on the side, a little bit of maybe cranberry sauce or apple sauce or whatever. Or mint sauce if you're having lamb. Do you know what I mean? It's very organised. Mint sauce goes with lamb, apple sauce goes with ham, and cranberry sauce goes with turkey. It's all very very organised and, like you said, a through line between stuff. So they don't, like, buffets confuse Brits, I think. It's confusing for them.
Finish it another. It's just every kind of food they can imagine thrown together and put in front of you at Christmas. And hey, I'm not saying it's not fun to have all of your favourite foods on Christmas Day. I'm just saying it's a different way to celebrate to how we do in the UK. And talking of the differences in our
Brits are funny.
Christmas routines brings me nicely onto the fourth thing on this list today, which is of course the fact that here in Sweden we have a lot more Christmas traditions than we have in the UK. Yes, you guys, I've pointed this out before, but here in Sweden they seem to love their traditions. It's a super tradition rich country where they create these habits and they continue them year after year and build upon them. It doesn't seem to be quite the same in the UK. Of course we have our Christmas traditions, but the kind of breadth of them is not as big as it is here in Sweden. And the only way that I can really make this point in this video is to kind of do like a Swedish Christmas bingo. So I'm about to name a few different things that lots of Swedes will probably be doing during the Christmas season, and I guarantee that most of the Swedes watching will have to admit that they do at least 75% of these things every single year. Yes, because I'm pretty sure that lots of you out there will be having Advent Fika every Sunday with your family, and if you're not doing that, you're probably going to a church celebration or some sort of choir rehearsal on the 13th of December on Lucia. And if you're not...
Oh, Lucia. That's what I did in the last video. That's such an interesting celebration.
Doing that, then it's probably likely that you're watching the julkalender, or that on julafton you'll be watching Kalle Anka or Donald Duck at 3 p.m. And lots of you out there will probably be drinking glögg or julmust during the Christmas season. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing at all. In fact, it's super cozy and it really helps to get you into that mindset that Christmas is on the way by following all of these different traditions religiously throughout the season. But you get my point. In the UK, we just don't have these same traditions. There are some things that we do.
Not quite true.
For example, it's very common that we open the presents in the morning on Christmas Day,
yeah.
We have a meal, and then maybe we sit down and watch TV with the family in the evening.
Yeah.
But it's just not that common that we have all of these other things that we do in the lead.
He's missing a key thing that we do on Christmas Day, which is the same every single year, is the Queen's speech. May she rest in peace. It's now called the King's Speech, where King Charles will get on the screen. He will summarise the whole entire year, what's gone great, what's not gone so great, and look towards the next year with hope and prosperity. That's what we do every single year. It's a tradition. We have a King's Speech. So we do that. Also, a lot of British people go to the pub on Christmas Day. Sorry, Christmas Eve. So the day that you guys have your Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve, on the 24th, we go to the pub, down the alcohol. Some people go on Christmas Day as well. Going to the pub is very traditional for British people and British families to go on Christmas, in the Christmas period. What else is there? There's a lot of traditions, so not quite fully true. Songs of Praise is like a TV program where like people, like it's like hymns, and it's just in a church, and it comes on TV every Christmas time. And there's Christmas movies that always come on, like Home Alone, or like what is the movie with the guy from America? The guy from America. What's it called? There's a movie that comes on every Christmas, and we watch that as well. So there's loads of traditions. So not entirely true. Not entirely true.
Lead up to Christmas. So I think it's really nice. I've said before, Sweden has a lot of traditions all throughout the year, and it's fun to see them religiously following them and getting passed down through the different generations. And talking of how we spend those last few precious hours on Christmas Day, this is the fifth and final thing that I noticed as a big difference between what we do in Sweden and in the UK. Yes, because in the UK, if you've had your family over during the day, it's likely that in the evening on the 25th of December, you'll be having a board game night. Yes, because to most of us Brits, board games is an important part of the Christmas experience.
It's quite correct. Yeah, we have board games, you play games.
About gathering your family together, having a lot of fun, being silly, and just competing with one another. Whereas here in Sweden, it feels like board games is something that isn't very specific to Christmas. In fact, they have board game nights all throughout the year. There are people that are obsessed with board games here and go to board game shops to buy the latest versions of their favourite classics. But I guess the jury is really out on this one, because as I said at the beginning of this video, I've only spent one Christmas here in Sweden, so I haven't got a lot of experience to draw on about what it looks like in the evenings on julafton after you've had your meal and done your presents. So maybe some of you Swedes can let me know down in the comments below, what are you doing on Christmas Day in the evening? Are you celebrating with board games like us, or am I right and you're doing something different? Maybe watching TV or just socialising with a fika with your family? Well, let me know down below. And with that said, this is the final video that I'll be releasing before the Christmas celebrations really get underway. So wherever you are in the world, whether you're celebrating on the 24th here in Sweden or the 25th in the UK, I would just like to wish you a good Yule or a Merry Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you guys once the celebrations are over and we're all a good couple of kilograms heavier because of all the Christmas food we've eaten. But as I say, thank you so much.
Absolutely. That's a really good video, just a bit abroad. He doesn't actually do videos anymore, which is very disappointing. But I hope he has a very Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have a really Merry Christmas and a great Yule, because we celebrate it on the 24th. So, yeah. Guys, it's almost 2024. I am so looking forward to 2024 and all the videos I'm going to be doing. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and happy Christmas.